So a question that I get pretty much every time I list a new home, my seller will always ask, should I take the first offer that comes along, or should I wait for more showings? And it's a great question. It's certainly an exciting time, and it can be stressful. And you might be confused, or second guessing yourself. Should I take this first thing, or what if there's something better out there? So the answer to this question is it depends. But the first thing we need to do is we need to check the offer that comes in. So we're going to look at things like the price, the closing timeline. Does that match what you need? Or do you need to have a longer close or a shorter close? We're going to be looking at what concessions the buyer may be asking for. And we're also going to be looking at contingencies like a home inspection contingency or appraisal, financing. Can that buyer get financed for the home? And maybe even a home sale contingency, which I did a video on last week, so you can check that one out. So the other thing we need to consider is the strength of the buyer. That really matters. So did they submit an offer with a pre-approval letter? If they did, who wrote that pre-approval letter? Because not all lenders are equal. So we want to make sure it's from a lender that we know and trust. Do they need your help paying their closing costs? So that's another thing to consider. So, ultimately at the end of the day, this comes down to a risk versus reward proposition for you to determine. So if you accept it early, you lock in a strong result possibly, and you reduce your days on market, which is great. You're not having to open your house for people to see the house all the time and inconvenience your life and that sort of thing. And waiting might bring in a higher offer. The problem is the longer you wait, the more momentum you're losing, and you don't want to necessarily let that first buyer off the hook. Because if you've got a bird in the hand, that's definitely worth two in the bush, as the old saying goes. So you don't want to let that first buyer get away. So you don't want to drag your feet too much. So one of the things that I'm going to be looking at, and you can too, through the third-party sites, is we're going to look at the traffic and the data from days 1 to 4. Those are really the most critical when you're getting the maximum amount of eyeballs on your home. So we're going to be looking at how many showing requests we've gotten. We're going to be looking at online saves. I'm going to be asking the agents that have shown the home for feedback. Well, what did their clients like about the home? What maybe did they not like about the home? Did they feel like it was fairly priced? So in Hampton Roads, where we're sitting at just over 2.5 months of inventory currently, a home that's reasonably priced, that's fairly priced, that's in good condition is going to get a lot of eyes on it, and it's going to get a lot of interest. So, but that first week is absolutely critical. So if your first offer is clean, if it doesn't have very many contingencies, or it has, kind of the typical contingencies that you would expect, if it fits your timing, if you're getting the money that you expected to get, that might be an offer that you want to jump on and go ahead and ratify. On the flip side of that, maybe the offer's a little light. Maybe maybe they're asking for a lot of concessions, like closing cost assistance. Maybe we can counter that offer. Maybe I can talk to the agent and see if we can get that deal sweetened up a little bit. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to what are your goals? Do you need a quick, smooth close, or are you willing to wait for a potential bump in price? My job really is just to kind of lay out the numbers and the facts for you and kind of let you know what the expected outcome might be with whatever you decide. So you can make a decision confidently, and you're not playing this game of second guessing yourself. So if you need help selling a home, I would love to help you out. You can give me a call anytime.